Hey, Pumpkin, give me a hug.
Daddy!
No, that wasn't a handshake. Really?
Hi, my name is Michael. I am one of the animators for Love is a Championship. And welcome to a Before the Scenes video. I've got a section right now down here starting at like 1460 is the scene number. It sounds off, but it's fairly simple. Lucy and Matt it's a meet the parents section. They're going to the parents' house for the first time and sort of you get the general idea. Matt's a bit nervous. They walk up to the door, ring the bell, and then Dad's there. Lucy rushes in, essentially pushing Matt out of the way. Yeah, right. It's her father. She's excited. You can just tell by his stance there, though. He's once he gets back up on his feet, he's quite nervous. You can see it in the mouth, the head, the eyes. Now we motion captured the whole project, so we have all this motion capture data. That's what these files are. I think there's nine camera cuts, 9 shots total in this sequence. And I'm going to try, as I watch the animatic and as I watch these, I'm over here taking notes, reverse shots, close-ups, little notes on facial expressions, big smile, not making eye contact with the dad initially in 1530. Those are just little notes for me to remember to put in, and as I go, I'm going to, check these off, and I can pull the camera out, and you can see there's our car. You start to see the house over here, right? They're going to pull up, walk in. I can show you what it looks like after I put in all the work. You've got sort of 3 characters at once. Lucy's going to run in, jump in and hug her father. This is a meet the parents kind of moment. They're going to open the door, rush in. He's going to grab her, set her down, and then he has this kind of nervous look, and they're both excited and happy to meet each other. So how do we get to that point? So first thing I'm going to do is probably position Lucy roughly in the scene. Everything's motion captured is what we set up and recorded, so I have all that data. And for this particular scene, that is this file right here. The actress who recorded it, her name was Jenna. And then this is just organization, what shot number this is, things like that. With iClone, all I got to do is grab that file, drag it, drop it right on the character. I'm going to select our, essentially the kind of program we use to record that motion capture data. And then it's on her. That's it. But obviously there's some issues. She's facing the wrong direction for one, and I don't need all of what you're seeing here. This whole file is a minute or 2 long. It's a lot of like the previous work on the scene too, previous stuff. What I want, you can kind of see it. She's running in, hugs her father. So you can see this is kind of where we're at. What iClone's good at is you work in big, broad strokes. And then you can refine later. You can get a lot done really quickly. And that's a big advantage for it. So I'm just going to delete this whole big beginning chunk. We don't need it for this particular scene that we're on. So there we go. Now she's running and hugging. And there's a bunch of stuff at the end. That's actually other scenes we're not working on yet, so I don't need that either. I can just cut a lot of that off again. So the first problem, obviously, she's not facing the right way. So we're just going to go back to that beginning frame, and I can just reposition her. And now, for the most part, I go back to my camera view. She should be running in. And we still got her a little bit. Doesn't quite hit that hug right, does she? So I will just go over here, straighten her out. It's just like you tweak it until you get it, until everything kind of, it'll do a lot of the work for you is the thing. Right, see, she's a little closer to getting that hug now. I can just go back and tweak it here and there. Push it this way, that way. It might be a little bit better. There you go. That's pretty close. We got things lined up pretty quickly, pretty simply. A matter of seconds is all this recording's been. And we've got her positioned, we've got her hug working for the most part. Now, obviously, I chopped a lot of this off. So she just comes to a complete standstill right here. So we need to do more. Because that's not it. That's not the end. Now for this, she doesn't really leave the ground, does she? It's just a simple, normal kind of hug. We want a little more energy in this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of this rest of this again. Because this is just a normal hug. We don't want that. So what I'm going to do, just chop this again. Big, broad strokes. Cutting, blending. You're going to see a blend here in just a second. I have another motion capture clip of a running and a jump. You'll see that here. It's a very big jump. Obviously, it'd be a very large translation. We don't need all of that, but what I want is that jump. And once again, though, she's facing the wrong direction, so we're going to fix that real quick here. The particular tool iClone has called motion director control. I find, anyway, it's good for repositioning clips. And you just line it up again, like I was just doing. So you can see what's happening. You go back to the camera view. She's going to walk in and then leap into his arms. Obviously, that's way too much of a leap. Too far forward anyway, but there's this break here, and this is the sort of magic of iClone. If I just drag this jump we just decided, move it over top here, if I zoom in a little, you can see it blends the two animations all on its own. So she's going to run forward. There's no more big pop here anymore when it changes to this jumping clip. Right? This is where iClone begins to make sense, and it's what this whole software, and from my experience, seems to excel at, is this motion capture data, these quick, big, broad strokes, getting your rough ideas out and quickly. You know, if I try to do all these, key poses in Maya, like this one, and then a few more we're going to get to in a minute. That would take many days. I've done this in a matter of minutes. I've got the rough idea. I can approach the director, see if he thinks I'm on the right path. But she's going way too far with her jump. So I'm just going to quickly, if I can do it quickly, straighten this out a little bit. Put a few keys in so she's not going so far. And I can just drag her back. That seems to be a big effort for not a very far translation. So perhaps I would want her to leave her feet right around here. She could start back maybe a little further. I can adjust this back a little bit. That's a little bit better. Makes a little more sense. All that effort to go, it's better. Not perfect. Again, it's a little quick demo. Doesn't have to be exact. I can't show you the final product yet. The film's not ready. Can't show you how we got there. It's a secret. No, so what, obviously you saw in the beginning, he grabs her and holds on to her. So that's kind of what I would fill in here. And then he sets her down. Now, again, in the final product, I believe I did it by hand, the actual set down of her when he leans forward and presses her back down. But for, again, the purposes of this, we have another already made motion capture file of a landing. Now, this is going to be a little, again, it's going to be in the wrong spot. What you're going to see, it's a little over-the-top kind of landing. It's your sort of, you could say, superhero landing is a common thing now. Again, I want to reposition her because it's going to make that blend work better. Otherwise, she would zip across the room when it tries to blend these two together. I think that'll work. I think that's where I'm going to want her to be set down afterwards. So what I can do Let's see if this works. We're learning together here. I'm gonna cut off this whole beginning. I can just take this landing and blend it in. Yeah, I would want it here, actually. He's gonna grab her and hold her for a bit. And then it's gonna set down. So yeah, I would have to put something in here to fill this spot in. I don't think this is gonna work if I just drag this one out. We'll see what happens. Now it's just gonna repeat that jump. Okay. If I go here, I go here and set the key, may or may not work. Now it's just going to create a normal. You can take multiple clips, merge them together. Like again, this might remind you of something like Premiere Pro. Just these big clips here I'm taking and putting together. I can blend this in here now. There you go. So we're getting there. It's all the timing obviously way off. He holds her considerably lower. He holds her to here. This frame 180 is when I would really want her to be setting down, so I can do that right now. I'm going to repeat here kind of what I just did with this other one. Just putting a sort of placeholder key in, making this one big clip, so now I can blend it with this other one I've just decided to use. He holds her, holds her, holds her. Sets her down, not yet. Not yet. I think I need a little bit more there still. This is obviously going to be very rough, but you're getting the idea, hopefully, of the power of iClone and it's sort of merging, blending, big broad strokes. Again, he's going to set her down now. She goes down a little too quick. So another thing you can do, you can just this quickly change the entire speed of an animation you've made. Like I'm going to want to slow this down, so I'm going to want percentage speed value to be decreased. So we're just going to make a rough guess 70% of what it is now. That's going to slow her down. And that's a little bit better. Almost in time with her father there setting her down. There's some, I believe there's some free ones out there. A service that used to be called Mixamo. I think they were acquired by Adobe, if I'm remembering. But I think they're still out there. You can still get them and use them. Well, that's what we're doing. We're using what's available to us. A very small team of people, very few animators, maybe a dozen of us, just animators for what's going to be 15 minutes or so. So we've got a lot of work to do. We're using as many tools as we can to speed things up and then lighten the workload on us. There's still a lot to fix and a lot to clean up, and I'll show you here in just a moment. But yeah, so she's gonna reaches up. They're gonna hang on to each other. I won't. That's too complicated to set up now. He sets her down. She gets up. She goes into this, you know, happy, bouncy on her toes of her feet kind of look, and that's good enough for me. I think that tells the story of this scene. Now, I mentioned there's things you have to clean up. Obviously, this whole section of I'm grabbing together, I would go in and by hand do that as an animator. The hands and fingers, they don't tend to come in very well through motion capture data. As you'll see, there's no real animation on the hands. That's a really, might be a kind of a dislocated thumb. Just bland hand poses. Hands really do help a lot. Good hand poses. And you can see with her bouncing here, there's not much, there's no like real bend happening in the knees. So I would go in and I can just demonstrate it real quick. If I merge everything, as she's bouncing on the balls of her feet, I would want, you know, more hip action, you know, translating the hip up and down would go a long way to these off. Yeah. You want to see a little bend in the knee on this bounce. She goes back up. You can straighten her out. She comes back down. But you get the idea. Now you're seeing a little bit more of that angle come through. Looks more like a bounce. But things like that don't come through very well. You got to clean all that up. Obviously, as you see, these motion capture clips are just for the body. There is nothing happening on her face. No joy, no happiness here. I would clean up the head, obviously, as well. It's not really looking at him. That eye line, you always get notes on eye line. Make sure characters are looking at each other. There's always something about it. Something's always just a tiny adjustment to make a character look like they're looking at the subject. Even I'm just looking at it now, his eye line's a little strange. Not quite where it needs to be. This software itself, it does have motion capture face performances. There's a Real Illusion, they have a whole suite called Digital Soul, if I can find it quickly for you. Yeah, this whole program comes with so much assets for you to use and experiment with, and you bring them in, blend them, change their speed, and then using this motion layer, edit motion layer, that's all the by hand animator stuff. I can go in and change and tweak and modify everything I need. Or everything I would like to modify. OUL. Yeah, so these are the Digital Soul. All sorts of different these are very subtle facial performances. Absent-minded, reading a book. Some of them are looks, some of them are just frowns or happy faces and things like that. Angry stare. She can be angry while she's looking at her father. Let me see, did it come in? Yeah. Yeah, now she has an actual facial performance, but she doesn't really look like an angry stare, does she? So we'd have to go in and then tweak the facial performance as well. And we can do that, and that's what my job is, to go in, fix, tweak, modify, tell the story that the director wants told. And I've got the relative performance, and I would want to get this embrace working better before I show the director, and I want the scene to tell the story more than I have to describe what I mean and what I'm going for. But hopefully this helps you get excited for the film. If you're dealing with motion capture data, iClone, yeah, it's pretty legitimate. It seems like a good option. If you have just a rough idea of something you want to do, iClone can create a good foundation, a good, very quick foundation too. Hope you get excited for the film Love is a Championship. We're 4 or 5 months in with animation. It's coming along. Hope you're enjoying these before the scenes videos. We should have quite a few more coming. Thanks.